Alright, shalom, all praises be unto Yahweh, Ba'asham Yahweh Shai, Ba'asham Kakadash, the blood unto the elder apostles and the elder bishops at Great Millstone, rule well, and he taught us his truth, salutes unto the sincere Akim. Now this is a quick lesson, just, observation that's been made, listening to some videos, and it sparked some, a thought pattern, dealing with Noah, preaching for 120 years. That's on 120 years on earth, but we know that the timing of the Lord is different. 1,000 years to a day and a day to 1,000 years. So I typed into the chat, if 1,000 years is as a day in the Bible, how much is 120 years? So then the chat came back and said, the phrase you're referring to comes from 2 Peter 3:8. I ain't even got to go to it because it's right here. With the Lord, a day is like 1,000 years, and 1,000 years are like a day. Okay. Then it says, this is usually interpreted metaphorically to express that God's perception of time is very different from ours. He is not bound by time as humans are. The Lord is not bound by time because he's the creator of it. Okay. Before time was, Yahweh is. Okay. It says, but if you want to calculate 120 years in terms of God's time, using that scale, 1,000 human years equals 1 day to God. Here's the math. Step-by-step conversion. It says 1 day in God's time equals 1,000 years human time. So 1 human year is 1 divided by 1,000 of a day, God's time. Then 120 human years equals 120 divided by 1,000, which gives you 0.12 days in God's time. So that's a couple of seconds, right? So it says convert 0.12 days to hours. 1 day is 24 hours. 0.12 days times 24 hours and days gives you 2.88 hours. Okay, let's read that again. So 1 day equals 24 hours. All right, so 0.12 times 24 equals 2.8 hours. So I'm going to say Moses, Noah prophesied for 120 human years, but in the eyesight of the Lord, Noah prophesied for 2.88, which really mathematically you'd round it up to 2.9, because the second digit after the point is over 5. If it's 5 and above, you round it up. If it's below 5, you round it down. So 2.8. 8 is higher than 5 by 3. 2.88. So we could just call it 2.9. 2.9 is basically 3. Okay. So in the eyesight of Yahweh, Ba'asham Yahweh Shai, Noah prophesied for 3 hours. Wow. 120 years, and in the eyesight of the Lord, Noah prophesied for 3 hours. All right. And then if you wanted to convert 0.8 hours to minutes, it says it would be 52 minutes. Okay. Now that's just giving some extra maths. But in hours time, 120 years is 2 hours or 3 hours, just shy of 3 hours to the Lord. Okay. Sorry. No, my mistake. You've got the 0.8, which is minutes too. So it's 2 hours and 52.8 minutes. That's exactly right. So that's 8 minutes short of 3 hours. Remember, we said that 2.88, you round it up to 2.9. That's 2.9 is just a point of a digit shy of 3. So yeah, Noah prophesied for 2 hours and 52 minutes, 52.8 minutes in the eyesight of the Lord. Wow. Okay. So then I put in the chat, using the same trail. I meant to put trail, so like using the same trail of thought, how long is 40 years? Right? And then the chat came back and said, using this same idea, 1,000 human years equals 1 day in God's time. We can calculate how long 40 years is in God's time. Now, the reason I put in 40 years is because of our apostles, elder apostles, starting with the elder apostle Tahar, okay? The length of time he and the rest of the apostles have been in it, you know. I believe the rest of the elder apostles and the elder bishops, you know, respectively, have, you know, just shy of Apostle Tahar by 5 years plus, round about there. You know, excuse me if the maths isn't absolutely accurate on that. But elder Apostle Tahar, starting with him and the other apostles on down, have coming up to 40 years in this truth, right? So that's why I use the 40 number. It says using the same idea, 1,000 human years equals 1 day in God's time. We can calculate how long 40 years is in God's time. Step-by-step calculation. 1 human year equals 1 over 1,000, which would give you 0.001 days in God's time. So 40 years times 0.001 days equals 0.4 days. Convert 0.04 days to hours. So 1 day equals 24 hours. So 0.04 times 24 gives you 0.96 hours. Convert 0.96 hours to minutes. 0.96 times 60 minutes to an hour, gives you 57.6 minutes. Final result, 40 human years equals 0.96 hours, which is 57 minutes and 36 seconds in God's time. That's basically an hour. So from our apostles on down, okay, these are seasoned men in the truth. You know, Noah had 3 hours, okay, in the truth. And, you know, our apostles pretty much have an hour in the truth, you know. Have an hour in the truth, man. Wow. That's a long time, you know, because that's an hour in the sight of the Lord. But that is 40 years on the earth, which is, you know, a lifetime of dedication and devotion to a discipline, you know, such as this ministry. Okay, so the apostles have pretty much an hour in the truth in the sight of the Lord. That's seasoned, man. So then I went back to the chat and said, how many years has it been since 1969? We know this because this is where the prophecy of you know, Elijah coming back and turning the heart of the fathers to the sons and the heart of the sons unto the fathers. You know, we believe through faith that is the high priest, Rabbi Abba Bibbins, okay, came back, you know, who was Elijah, right? Also John the Baptist, you know, if you can receive it in the spirit, you know, in the words of the Lord, and if you will receive it, this is Elijah for to come. You know, coming out of the commandment keepers and, you know, teaching from the New Testament and stuff, it was in the year 1969. So then, you know, basic maths, but I just put it in so you could see it. So I said, the chat says, to find out how many years it's been since 1969, we subtract 2025, which is the year we're in, heading into 26 now. You know, a couple more months and it's 2026. So it's going to really go into 57 years. But anyway, 2025 minus 1969 gives you 56 years. So as of 2025, it has been 56 years since 1969. So then I went back to the chat and said, how long is 56 years in God time? He says, let's calculate. 56 human years is in God's time using the biblical scale. 1,000 human years equals 1 day in God's time. Step-by-step conversion. 1 human year is 1 over 1,000, which would give us, 0.001 days in God's time. So 56 years times 0.001 is 0.056 days in God's time. So you convert 0.056 days to hours. 1 day equals 24 hours, correct? So 0.056 times 24 gives us 1.344. Okay, 1.344. Right? So pretty much, well, let's read on a bit. It says 0.344 times 60, right, is, for the minutes, is 20.6 minutes. All right? So it says 56 human years equals approximately 1 hour and 20 minutes. Okay, 1 hour and 20 minutes. So that makes sense, from the time high priest Abba Bibbins, the prophecy was fulfilled through him to the time of our apostles coming in. That's that 20 minutes extra from when it's to the point that Apostle Tahar came in, which would be, from what he said, I believe 85. Okay, that would account for the 20 minutes. So the Lord has really given us this truth in his timing for just over an hour. Okay, but it says here, convert 0.056 to hours. In God timing, if you will, is 1.3 hours. Okay, 56 days. Sorry, 0.056, which is the 56 years to hours, right? So, wow, that's 1.34, and mathematically that is close to 1.4. Now, when you read the prophecies, the Lord can put a time on something, but there's three ways it can happen. It can happen, you can have a designated time, and it can happen just before, or it can happen on the dot, or it can happen just after. Okay, I'm not going to go into it. Maybe I can do that in another lesson, but mathematically, the Lord deals with all three variables: just before, bang on the dot, and just after. Case in point, really quickly, you can read Matthew the 24th chapter. It deals with Yahushua prophesying. It's a dual prophecy dealing with the very end now, but also 70 AD. What is coined as 70 AD? The scholars differ, but it said that it started as early as 62, or some say 63 AD. So that's just a very easy go-to. That just because things never happen on the exact dot or time it was said, it could happen just before, it could happen just after. It's coined 70 AD, but really the mix-up started, the tension was bubbling since 63. And shit really started popping from 63 onward, 63 AD. So that's still that prophecy, but things have to brew up. The suspense has to grow. So it's the same thing. Mathematically, it may not be bang on the dot, in terms of time scale as we're dealing with here, but 1.34 hours, mathematically, that's very, very close to 1.4. Okay? If my maths would serve me correct, that would be 0.044 off an hour off 1.4 hours. So, draw the parallels, if you will. 1.4 hours, that's that 1-4, so the it all adds up. The Hebrew word amath, meaning truth. So like I said, this is just the observation made. I've quoted some precepts, Matthew 24, of course, 2 Peter's, you've got Revelation dealing with the 12,000 from each tribe, each of the tribes, all the precepts come to mind, but even the maths of it all adds up, man. So with that, I'll say shalom.